Hey Faf. Man, every time I watch your stuff, I get this just wonderful, warm sensation all over myself. Maybe it's the music that you play in the background, or your demeanor, but thanks. But on to what you said, dude. I was gonna stop. I don't know what. It's all off the cuff. So what do I want to say to you, man? First, you don't think your music that you wrote in the beginning of your horse riding video was qualified to be great? Whatever you're telling yourself, it's wrong. 90% of the crap I grew up on, just riffs, man. Just riffs. What you're bringing your world, insofar as all this wonderfulness that you want to spread, to believe that a few songs distributed to a few people could not provide 10 times the amount of emotion that you provide those that are closest to you is a lie. What you said about whales, you know, to say that the market wouldn't be what it is without whales, well, the reason I'm with Revolution 1 is because, you know, whales can't come in and I mean, they can come in. There's no reason they can't. A. B, the mentality behind Revolution 1, you know, those you surround yourselves with, I don't know, man, but I've read some things Just So has written to me. Like the first time I tried to withdraw back in April, March, early March, I fudded one of the first dips in P3D. And I was having a tough time understanding how to do a withdrawal, speaking directly to Manso and Justo, I don't even want to say what he said, but those you surround yourselves with, have you watched any of Dan's video? Do you know what Dan does for a living? Faf. You know, I lie to myself all the time, and I admit it. You know what does pain me watching your videos? Is you explaining to yourself why you weren't good enough to be a rock star. And I understand what you gave it up for. In all honesty, it was a righteous move. The kind of move that makes the world a better place. But you know, I unfortunately live under the guise that my work, what I sell, what I create, it's gonna last a lot longer. And so I'm working towards something that isn't immediately as beneficial as what you're experiencing. And I think that's what my journey's kind of about, Holmes. It's bigger than me. It's bigger than me. I have this sickening fascination that I can't let go of in my mind. My life has been blessed. Our lives have been blessed beyond belief because of something that happened 200 years ago. Like the most evil wickedness of humanity was at the door of this country that was evil and wicked in its creation, but not in its intent. There were men that stood on the shores of Baltimore. Keys, he wrote a song. A lawyer wrote a song about when the British came with their whole armada to conquer Baltimore. And there were men who were fighting. And these men laid their lives down just so the flag could wave. This is I want to connect with those guys. I want to believe I could do something that's going to make the world a lot better than what I can do for myself. And I'm crazy to think that. And that's obviously clear. But my intent in this life, you know, I feel vile. Just vile playing in this space. But I know there's a glimmer of hope in this space. Nowhere near as much as I believe is in my work, and I will never give that up. But this speculation I'm playing with, and the opportunity it may afford me to do that much more with my work. Because my work, I don't have the ability by myself or the people skills to bring the type of salespeople that would, there's no BMI in the art industry anymore like there was in the music industry. And I can imagine, what you experienced as a musician watching what was going on with the digital and why you were so turned off with the idea that, odds are, whatever, the music industry went through a radical change. And it happened probably right when it was on the tail end of when you probably jumped into. I don't know what I'm trying to say. All I'm trying to say is man, I don't know what it is, why I keep bringing attention to you, but and I've been avoiding your videos because I felt like, and I watched your horse this morning ride video. I don't know, dude. I'm not trying to convince you of anything, and I am using you as much as you might be using me to create a story so that I can get a following. But that is secondary. That following that I'm trying to create is only secondary to the message I'm creating. And the message I want to create is that, I've said it a million times, there's a huge disproportionate distribution of power and wealth in this world. And that disproportionate distribution of power and wealth in this world is the core, the root cause of the illnesses, everything from psychosis to diabetes. It's just, I mean, if we're connected at this level of spirituality that you speak to ignore the idea that the disproportionate distribution of power and money in this world is not the cause of all the ills and the lack of the ability for humans to live forever. I don't know, dude. You cover these huge bases, and I cannot let go of the idea that as an individual, I have to work towards an endeavor to make the world a better place. Because those fleeting moments of wonderfulness, the more you seek them, I put a link in your video about, what we seek and what we get when we seek. The yin and yang kind of things in the world. And I embrace my depressions, maybe not as much as I try to embrace my successes or my highs when I connect with what it is I'm seeking, but I'm not going to deny them because I know what my intent is. My intent is to work towards what I believe some of the greatest humans that we never will hear of or have known work towards. We see all the sicknesses and ills in society, and to ignore... No, dude, I don't know. I can't ignore what it is that I'm looking for, and that is liberty and the ability for people to become as magnificent as they were born to be. And that comes, in order for to have that, it's an enormous struggle. And the only reason I said this, that you sold out, was because I'm sick in the head, and I believe you and your music could have and can be much more significant than P3D ever will be. I know that in my heart. I know that. And I think that justifying the whales because you're one of them isn't serving any intent other than gains, making gains. So you can have more love and spend more time with your kids and maybe buy more properties. Yeah, I understand all that. But, you know, my gains are going to go towards the distribution of my work. And that'll benefit me probably not very much. And I'm right in the middle of losing a relationship right now because I've come to a conclusion that has been true for 7 years and I've just ignored it. So you guys watching this, I have no idea if you have any idea what I'm speaking to, but ultimately my quest has nothing to do with being right. It has everything to do with endeavoring upon the paths that have made our lives absolutely most incredibly amazing beyond any imagination of anybody that came before us. If you just look back to your grandparents or just even your parents and what they lived and how they lived and what we're living, it's not even comparable. And what's coming can be like absolutely tragic, or it can be absolutely unbelievable, or both. Incredibly unbelievable. Well, it's gonna be, but I believe that we need to empower. I know any history would totally make it very clear that when the Roman Empire became what it was because of gold and silver, because the disproportionate distribution of power money was what this country, the United States of America, did for the world insofar as bringing liberty to the individuals who were the basis of everything, was the reason steel was invented, was skyscrapers came because of it, light became of that, because of empowering the individual. And when you're in a pack of whales, we get the history of the Dark Ages. And that's all I'm trying to say, based on my understanding of the future, of the past, and how humans are. Empower the individual and empower a brighter future. Empower the powerful, and you're putting a clog in the river that flows with fresh water to nourish the earth, because that clog wants all that water. It's gotta flow, man. It's gotta flow.